Welcome back from the break. You're still watching NTV Sport Nights. Glad to have your company this Monday evening. A reminder that we are powered by Guinness. Black shines brightest, and also you can color your world with Plascon paints. You can watch us live and in HD with DSTV. A decoder is only 40,000 shillings. Well, joining us today are two gentlemen, and we are speaking tennis. To my immediate left is Osmond Atwine, the PRO for the Uganda Tennis Association. Welcome.
Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
And Mkolisi Matiolo, who has told me they call him MXO in short. He is an International Tennis Federation Silver Badge referee. As we talk about the ITF. Welcome to...
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Yes, it's always good that the South Africans here in Uganda, we do love your accent, but as a silver badge referee, I'm wondering for all those who are watching, you know, how did you get to be where you are?
Actually, I got into it by accident. So I was working for the Tennis Federation in South Africa as an intern to get my national diploma, and I remember on my last day of work I was making copies, and there was this test I wasn't understood. So I just asked, what is this? They said officiating. Okay, so what do we do? They said no, like your normal referee, because I was also a budding soccer referee. So I was like, so it's like refereeing. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna take the course. So I studied probably for about 2 weeks, went there, took the course and passed. And I thought I was going to be there for like maybe a year before I go to soccer, but the tennis bug beat. And here I am today, a silver badge, like one badge away from the last one, which is a gold badge. So yeah, in short, because along the way it's a long journey.
A long journey. Last week, I believe it was, there was news about Wimbledon and how it is changing. Instead, they are, I guess, moving with the times and bringing in some technology. So what does that mean for people like you? Or are you still safe?
It actually is all about tennis. It's all about fairness. So whatever changes that are made in tennis, it's all considering players, you know. So it's never a bad thing to evolve. So I guess that's how it evolves, and I think it's taking a right direction in any way. So it doesn't take away anything from officials, because national tournaments, local tournaments will remain the same. So I think it's all about fairness, which is, I think, which everybody wants.
You know, first of all, when we're trying to make contact with the Uganda Tennis Association through their General Secretary Alvin Bagaya, and he proposed for a referee to come to the show. I was mightily pleased, because in the other sport that is a so-called beautiful game, the most popular sport in the world, an active referee would not give an interview. Yeah. So when he proposed that you'd be coming to the show, I was quite excited, because you are the people we fans want to rip your throats out.
Always.
Yeah, for the tiniest thing. I've seen, for example, on television, I think the most famous in the recent past at the top level was Serena Williams describing the referee as jealous. Yeah, you're jealous. And I'm thinking, come on, because I think he deducted a point, yeah, from what she had garnered because of a transgression, which is very rare in tennis. You know, tennis is so gentlemanly that in the moment when they are going to serve, everyone else is asked to keep quiet, and they all follow. But that's also good that the tennis is not played in Nambole, because we can't put our vuvuzelas down when the national anthem is ongoing. If we ever have a moment of silence at Nambole during a national team game, I don't know how poor will be at respecting it. There is so many things around that. But I'm glad the public relations officer is here. When you see those pictures on TV, there is a world tennis tour. When you hear the word world, you think the entire world. What is this tournament that Uganda Tennis Association has been hosting?
So, if you may allow me just add a little to what my colleague from our top official, who is the lead official at both these tournaments.
Yeah.
Part of our mandate and our objective as Uganda Tennis Association has been to build an all-round ecosystem. So you're not just building players, but you're building officials, you're building understanding for the rules, building partners, parents, developing tennis parents, developing institutions, academies, coaches, health, nutrition, etc. So that the entire ecosystem can better guarantee the end product that we are looking for.
Sure.
So that was the spirit in which we thought would bring him, but also to highlight one of the key goals, because for the first time this year we're able to have 2 badged referees with the capacity and eligibility to officiate at tournaments of this caliber. Previously, all the officials would have to tournaments we are hosting like this would have to come from Kenya, from South Africa, etc. But as of this year, 2 of our officials are not only officiating at tournaments now, but are now also being exported to tournaments in the region.
They are going like coffee.
They are going like coffee. So, and they are paid. It's a paid role.
Yeah.
So it's also an area we're looking to build capacity. Yes, but
What's this tournament? World Tennis Tour.
the World Tennis Tour, ITF has structured tournaments at a lower level to enable a transition for junior players coming out of the juniors to transition into senior players all the way to the ATP. So you have tournaments where they are ring fencing opportunities for the lower developing players and some of the seniors who have been in there. So you have international players from all over the world, because it's open to all players from wherever. We've had players from as far as Venezuela, Brazil. The winners of the M25 were the finalists. The winner was from France, and the finalist was Austria. Yeah, but you have all nationalities from around the world coming to play. You have players ranked as high as 600 in the ATP rankings who are participating in this tournament. I think the tournament, the M15, which is lower than the M25 we hosted last week, that started yesterday, has as its top seed the world 600, the world 600th player from Tunisia, one of Jobo's colleagues. Yes, who incidentally was the winner of the doubles in last year's tournament. So it's an opportunity for players, and the way the International Tennis Federation has structured it is to enable different areas around the world to host these caliber of tournaments, such that your local players have an opportunity to participate and possibly earn world ranking points without the burden of having to travel to Europe, to the US, to South America, to Asia, where the logistics on their own would be an insurmountable hurdle.
Yeah, and you know, well, I was asking before we came on air that the most important question perhaps you'll answer is the gap between where the Yannick Sinners are playing and Alcaraz on the ATP and where we are playing. How can you put it in ocean terms?
How many oceans?
Yeah, how many oceans?
We've always struggled with the pathway that our national cricket team has to go through to qualify for tournaments like the World Cup, especially the 50 over World Cups. The pathway is always too long and meandering and complicated, and all that. You have to be there for some good time to get to know it. So for an ordinary Ugandan, they want to know what it would take for probably a tennis player in Uganda to play at the level where the Yannick Sinners are playing. What will it take?
The way I see it, and the way we see it as a Uganda Tennis Association, is to focus on our step ahead. Because you'd be amazed by the opportunities that exist in the immediate aftermath of where our players are. I'll tell you presently as it is. From our 12 and unders, the 16 and unders, we now have scholarships readily available
Yeah.
at local institutions, right from secondary school.
Sure.
So you're looking at a 13-year-old with an immediate opportunity to go join secondary, because now you know the inter-schools tournaments are also going regional.
Yeah.
So they have competitions up to the regional level. So schools are heavily invested in securing talent. So you have a possibility. We have players who have enjoyed these facilities from S1 past university degree. Now they are looking for opportunities in at master's level. But as we continue to develop them, aside from this, we are looking to find a pathway that enables them to go into elite development structures. And these things are pyramid shaped.
Yeah.
The way it works is you get as many people as
At the
possible at the bottom.
Yeah.
Right? At the elite level, Italy didn't only have Sinner or Berrettini or the 4 or 5 players you see in the top 100.
The lady
right?
won Wimbledon some years, Marion Bartoli, all those years ago.
They throw hundreds. America, there are thousands and thousands of kids who join tennis. But you look in the top 100 and they have less than 10 players in the top 100. So it's a pyramid shaped thing. But when we look at our juniors who have had great regional success, guys at 12 years and so, we look at the opportunity of saying, can we get them instead of into a local school, American college or European college, or get taken up by maybe an academy where they have the elite academies for tennis.
Yeah.
And that can accelerate for those few special talents. I have a little kid called Sam who can play just about any player here with either his left or right, depending on his mood.
Okay.
So that caliber of player should be able in the next few years to be attractive to an American college, which would give him a more wholesome elite structure to develop into an elite player.
And you know, there's something I learned some years back, and I like the fact that you started by mentioning how ITF has changed. That the structure of tennis is so prohibitive for a player from where we are to someone, let's say, from Spain. And here is why. They have tournaments that have ranking points across Europe, where Rafael Nadal can jump onto a train, a metro, in the morning, go out of Spain, go to Netherlands, play for a week, and go home. Then the next week, jump onto a train, go to Italy, get an Airbnb at an affordable price and
Stay
play.
at his cousin's house.
I was at a cousin's house and then rack up points.
Yeah.
Now the challenge is, if you're going to get a Ugandan player to play in ITF sanctioned tournaments where they are going to get points, at the time the person who was telling me the story and showing me the pyramid of tennis, the closest Africa had a ranking tournament was either South Africa or Tunisia. If you didn't go to play in any of the two countries, you had no chance of getting the points that would get you up there. So you'd find it that it's much easier for a European player. Not all of them actually have from privileged background. Some Guy Monfils, for example, does not come from a privileged background, because someone would imagine the coast needs people from bourgeoisie families, and that's how tennis was way back in the if you go back 100 or so years. So now when I see this format that allows a 14-year-old get into tournaments,
there are up to 500 tournaments at this level, spread across
At our level.
ITF.
Yeah.
This is what ITF has structured. You're talking about up to 500 tournaments across 77 countries.
Which countries are close by, let's say?
Before this, there were 2 M25s in Kigali.
Okay.
Before Uganda. So many of the players who came here transitioned from Kigali.
Yeah.
So an M25 offers you up to 25 points for the winner.
Yeah.
25, 15, what, up to I think 1 point for a guy who loses at the second round or so. So the opportunity, there is going to be one in Nairobi. We had now at M25.
How many Ugandans get in and where they finish?
We had one in the M25, I think.
And no, we didn't just have one. We had a couple, because what the other advantage it offers us by hosting is the opportunity to give wild cards to our players. So not only do they get to measure themselves up against this caliber player, but they also get an opportunity to enter a draw they may not otherwise qualify for on merit, right? So now, because you have opportunities like you'll have British players enter Wimbledon, given a wild card to the first round.
Sure.
And just by losing at the first round, he's able to get some money,
which will get into several tournaments,
£35,000, which could run his budget
for the
rest of the year. And he's on a wild card. So we had up to in the main draw, we had 2 players. We had Simon Ayala, we had Frank Taewa.
How far did they go?
They lost in the first round, right? Tomorrow we have 2 players also offered a wild card for the main draw. We have Trevor Kaziwe, who also plays for our national team, and Simon Ayala again. This is the legend John Oduke's son, who are entered into that, and is one of our key players on the Davis Cup team. We had Oringa, who was coming back from a long break, playing the qualifiers, and he won his first qualifier yesterday, but wasn't as good today. But they have stood up against guys who are ranked 1,000 in the world, and you know, broken them, made them break a sweat quite a bit, even shaking them up for a bit. So it's a very good experience for our local players, and something we hope they will learn and grow from.
You almost stung Mabel's ears when you said ranked 1,000, and you made it sound like there's glory up there.
It's amazing. I mean, let's not forget, I think Nadal, before his retirement, was ranked 100, like 200 or 300 and something in the world. So
injury.
But and I'll tell you this: you see a player like Tim, right? There are many players who will go down to challenger level, or those who are at challenger level go down to these levels to build up points. When we had features, which was the previous model of ITF structure similar tournaments, the top guy we had winning them, Nedelko from Russia, was in the ATP Cup, which is the kind of Davis Cup format. National teams play against each other. He was a top practice partner for the Medvedevs and Rublevs, who are the 2 singles players
on the ATP,
on the ATP for Russia. So the caliber of players you see, I mean, the finalist at the first one, he was called George Lofagin, who was a Nigerian British king. He was 18 at the time. Last year he lost to Holger Rune in the first round of Wimbledon. Right? Some of the, I think the guy we had here in the finals was played at junior level in Roland Garros. So the people you're measuring yourself up against, and it's not just the lessons you pick on the court. There are lots of lessons you pick off the court. How do they manage? How do they go about it? What channels are they following? What are their regimens like? What do they do on a daily, from feeding to life habits to etc. There's a lot for a person to pick, and we're quite impressed that we're able to get a lot of our academy pupils to attend these events. So we had lots of kids at the events, very enthusiastically watching on, and that's the inspiration
they need.
They are offered to show them the promise of what they are doing today.
In the ecosystem, you talked about nurturing tennis parents. How is that going? Because you look at a sport like tennis, it's not probably football, where you'll have a team or basketball, and it is very easy to get funders because you're a group. Tennis, you're more of an individual and kind of expensive to probably somebody dedicate their time, finances, and all that to see you through. And many times we've seen most of those people who have made it to the top. They have had family investing a lot of time and resources. So that bit of nurturing or supporting tennis parents, how is it going? Because
we would give an example. Swimming in Uganda is doing it. There is what they call swimming parents.
And I must applaud the many parents who have taken on that task within our system here, because you'd be amazed how many parents are looking for opportunities for their children, right? And to many parents, once the child shows interest in anything, they are happy to jump on it. So as sports administrators, our task is to show them that this is a viable opportunity for them, and not just because of the promise of some benefit, but even for the benefits that it affords the child, the discipline, the structure to life, etc. And I'll tell you, lots of parents, we have parents who travel with kids to some of these tournaments. Lots of parents have sponsored their kids with equipment. Lots of parents do the basics. They bring their kids to academies that are located in Kira, Makerere, Calabar Club, Lugogo, deliver them on a daily, feed them, take them back home. So it's an unapplaudable effort that many parents are making that builds into the ecosystem of many of the coaches who are running the academies, well-administered academies all around town, out of town, as far as Mbarara, Arua, Jinja, the schools that have also partnered with us that we are using, because the school is a very ripe garden. Right, the kids are already there, they're going to be there, so we're partnered with lots of sports departments in schools, gone, conducted trainings at those institutions, provided equipment, right? Now you see a lot of ITF equipment that we are providing, from rackets, strings, nets, balls for juniors, so that we enable the schools that are happy and willing to take up the sport in their country.
There's a gentleman here who is more exposed to tennis than me.
Yes.
Holisi, if I get the name.
Close enough.
That's enough. When you've been around refereeing tournaments, what are the challenges you can pick out, considering that even the country where you come from, even with all the equipment and the facilities, still South Africa do not have many. I was just actually thinking about the last South African player on the ATP tour, Anderson,
there's Harris.
Yeah, Anderson, who made it very, I think, got to a US Open semi-final. A Wimbledon final, yeah, at some point. He's the highest, and of course, benefited from being in the US at the time. What are the major challenges you find with the entire setup for the players?
Well, most challenges are faced by the organizers. We just come in to make sure that the game is run fairly, smoothly, and according to the rules. Most of all, like, we uphold the integrity of the game. So most of the challenges that we face is us helping the organizers to have that atmosphere where players can, participate in a fair environment.
Yeah.
So we don't really have too many challenges per se as officials.
Because what I've seen previous with tennis here is that players are so honest, they play without an umpire, and the guy on the other side has to admit, I hit the ball out, or I hit the ball in, and they keep their own scores. Yes. they do not need Holisi to take a flight from Gauteng to Kampala to come and referee, and sometimes I find it very queer. I think the other sport that does it is golf. Yeah, you walk, you play, and you keep your own scores, and you don't have a referee. And you come back with scores that are fair.
Yeah. When there are points and money
involved.
Yeah.
Yes. Because it depends also, because, players are not the same.
Yeah.
So it's like you will watch one match and nothing will happen, but on court number 7, something will definitely happen.
Yeah.
So there's always something to solve. And there's always something to inform the players with, because sometimes rules are not the same. A player will move from one tournament to another, and rules are not the same. So if they happen to use the wrong format, there should be always an umpire to correct them. So yeah, you are lucky if you saw a match where there was nothing, because for us that's a rare occasion.
Talking about complaints, I was at Kampala Club last week on Monday, the first day of the tournament, before the actual action started, and players are warming up, and there was this one player, I don't remember from which country. He was complaining to the referees or the umpires that he can't find a bottle. Like there were no bottles around, and in my mind I'm like you have that big bag and you couldn't carry your own bottle, and you have to complain to officials
to get one
where you can get a bottle. And he didn't want a bottle, he wanted an empty bottle.
Yeah.
And that made it, I'm like, you couldn't carry your own bottle.
An empty bottle to put water in?
Something like, because there was some jugs or whatever that
water reservoirs.
Yeah, exactly. So he was complaining that he can't find an empty bottle. And in my mind, I'm like, you couldn't carry your own bottle. And he was complaining to the refs.
Yeah, so we officiating is more like a service industry. So we do our best to help the players. Like if a player has broken his string and the racket is still at the stringers, we will make sure that the player gets the racket as quick as they can. If a shoe gets torn or something happens to the attire, we facilitate the whole process. So it's actually not a rare occasion where you find a player, we're all human. So if it happens that you forgot, I have to make sure that you get the bottle so that at least rehydration is taking place, because it's really dangerous for players to go on without water. So it's also part of our job to facilitate.
Do you find the length of, for example, another things you deal with, the length of the medical timeout fair? On Saturday I was watching the semi-final of the Shanghai Masters, Novak Djokovic against Tyler Fritz. Yeah, eventually, as you've seen in the highlights, Djokovic got to the final and lost to Yannick Sinner, and was given 3 minutes. He had pain in his hip, and the doctor had to work on him in 2 minutes and 45 seconds before they took off, because he was. Do you find that fair? Isn't 3 minutes too short?
It's rules. Rules are there to be observed, and the people who are working in those tournaments have vast experience. Yeah. So from time to time there will be clashes, but the rules are there. They will always be there. So it depends on any official who's there and the situation, because no two cases are the same. So there's not much I can say. The person who will say a lot will be the person who's in charge of that situation. Yeah, because they are not all the same. So I cannot say whether it's fair or not, but the rules will be observed.
Our colleague here, Clive, visited Roland Garros this year and was watching the tennis from the very top, because from his
the best
camera,
view.
Yeah, he had the best view, but very distant.
Yes.
He must have enjoyed Paris. Have you enjoyed Uganda? Everyone who comes here,
I mean,
lives with a very positive mindset, and they want to bring their
And
family.
tell us something different from the food. Everyone loves the food.
Yeah. Not the food, not the weather.
I was here.
Not the people.
Not the people.
Not the food, not the weather, not the people.
But that's Uganda. If you take out all those aspects
And the music?
Look, with refereeing is any type of officiating. It's an adventure, right? So part of the adventure involves the people, the food, the weather, and everything else. Because if it wasn't for officiating, I wouldn't experience Uganda. I was here 2019 and 2018. It was a different experience because it was my first time. Now I come back for the third time. There's always something new. Our outings are epic. When we go out, we always talk to the people on the. It's all about learning the culture of a place that you are going to. So everything that I get in Uganda is a new experience. So yeah, I really enjoyed Uganda.
How would you rate the level of officials around the region, not only in Uganda, but the region?
So like the PRO said, it's a matter of cultivating a culture of officiating, because without the federation, without tournaments, you don't need officiating. So Uganda is having tournaments, whether local, they are participating in regionals, and ITF also have their own programs in terms of, you know, bringing up the new umpires from national level up to the international level. Like he just said, now Uganda has now 2 white badges, and one of them I was with in Botswana doing the Davis Cup. So that's improvement. So I'm sure in like 5 years, Uganda will have more officials, hopefully bringing in more women into officiating, which ITF also considers a priority. So officiating is all about giving a chance to people, whether they want to, the adventure, whether they want to make it a career, or whether they just love traveling like I do. So there's different reasons why we will join, but in all aspects, it is an adventure. So,
and please note, as an Equal Opportunity Association, our white badge officials are 2, 1 male,
1 female.
2 back-to-back tournaments happening at the Kampala Club. Why Kampala Club? I've been there, and it's not a place for people like us.
But you've been there.
Yeah, I've been there, and like, why not Lugogo?
No, I think we looked for an environment that would offer a good experience to the players.
And the fans, because I feel it
gets out a few fans.
Calabar Club has been open to all willing to watch, who want to attend the event from morning till at about 5 p.m. So it's not, there shouldn't have been any access issues.
Because there are no issues, but I mean, like,
perception maybe.
there's something about Lugogo, like, anybody can just walk in and enjoy a game of tennis.
But
Always a bit
Be
like
able to get a bite without
as with most free range things, your free range chicken may not have the same shine as a homebred or indoor bred chicken.
If you don't feel like the shine is enough, use some food color and some extra oil.
Which is the thing, some of these tournaments, when the opportunity comes, to bring it up to the scale that you need it to be for a good experience. I mean, if you have a visitor coming all the way from the UK on a one-time visit, if you're going to borrow your neighbor's TV to improve their experience, why not do it? Right? So we can't continue to limit ourselves when the resources are available. So Calabar Club, and we thank them very much, accepted our request.
Where are you getting this funding? Because
today every federation is complaining
That's what I'd
except
asked him,
football.
yeah.
Woodball have not traveled to the World Cup. They should be in China this week.
cricket to those who don't complain.
Cricket also don't complain. Boxing complain eternally. Table tennis also complain eternally.
Yes.
Many other federations have had to cancel events. Where are you getting this money? Is it flying in with a chartered flight
Look here.
that has sacks of money?
Partnerships are crucial in growing the resource envelope. UTA's budget isn't the greatest. I think we have about 300 and something
That's from government.
from government through NCS, right? We are growing our sponsorship base. One of our other big partners is the ITF itself, because it will make a contribution towards the prize money that we pay out to the participants. So, but one thing we understood while assuming the leadership of Uganda Tennis Association was that to join the chorus of we don't have a lot of money is not going to help, because that is the chorus not just of sports institutions
But of life.
but of Ugandan institutions throughout. If Minister of Works is saying we don't have money, and you also want to join the chorus in the that is looking to build roads, or Minister of Health looking to build hospitals, is saying we don't have enough money, and now you knowing that, because UTA is currently led by people of vast experience who have been in leadership positions in various sectors and what for years. So we understand that we must find a way of working with what is available, and success has very many relatives. Once you grow, people will be falling all over you to partner with you and move forward.
I've always felt like in a country like ours that lacks so many things in terms of sport, I've always felt that winning is the biggest advocacy tool we can have. When we win, someone will pay attention.
But it applies.
When you tell us that we didn't have dinner before playing, everyone says, I know many families that didn't eat.
I mean, we are inspired by our athletic story. Right? Many of these people did not become champions because they were well-to-do, or they had run in the best shoes starting out. So we have made a deliberate decision not to make that.
11 years ago in 20.
It is deliberate. The resources are, but through this partnership, I think when you partner with a school, there's a lot you leverage off them. That is not money.
America's
it's
done
not
it.
money. ITF gives us a lot of equipment. They don't give us cash, but they're going to give you tennis equipment. They're going to give you rackets,
and those rackets are not cheap.
Balls. This is what you would otherwise buy with cash.
Because you need the money to buy these things.
So we are looking to say, okay, guys, can you now support us with technical personnel? Pay a coach to come and maybe train our coaches. So that is how you.
There's a story that our colleague Alan Chekwech, we spend a lot of time with him in the newsroom. 11 years ago in 2013, Joshua Cheptegei needed shoes. I think it was for university games. I was traveling to India. And they went down to Owino to buy a set of running shoes, because that's what Joshua Cheptegei could afford at the time. Of course, now he doesn't know how many pairs of Nikes he has, the greatest Ugandan athlete. So he gets shoes that have that cause him blisters because they weren't very good, but that's what he could afford. And the first contract he signed with the management company, the Dutch company, they threw him a sack of shoes because they knew his talent. They gave him shoes. What's that gentleman? His coach, Underwriter. They threw him a bag of shoes, and now he had an avalanche. And that's how they convinced him to sign. They told him, you need shoes, you need to run, sign. And he signed.
Djokovic grew up in war-torn Serbia. Learned tennis on courts with bombs ringing around them during the Kosovo War in the 90s. The Serena Williams grew up in ghetto courts with drive-by shootings routinely happening.
Lost her sister actually in a drive-by shooting.
But that was the environment they grew up. So anyone who tells you that the path to success or what is not ridden with adversity is lying.
I didn't know we were going to host a motivational speaker. I would have taken a break.
Because anybody who leads Ugandan sport, right, has got to have huge motivational, whether quotes or background in him. Because a lot of our young and developing players need to be inspired. They need to be inspired. And many of them don't appreciate the sacrifice they have to
and they won't be inspired by crybabies, because I feel we have lots of crybabies for sports administration in this country, and I hope several of them are actually watching this interview, because the direction you're taking, you feel is a direction that most sports administrators should be taking. You can't keep on crying to government and all that. You need to find a solution, because government is dealing with a lot.
It's the biggest problem for your last administration. You campaign saying we can do this, and then you come and your first cry throughout is no money.
Okay, we've got to end it there, but just very quickly, Rafael Nadal announced his retirement. There is one more tournament I think that he has to play, the Davis Cup in Spain. Just in one sentence, what is his legacy, and do you think he's probably the greatest of all time? I'll start with MXO.
Well, I wouldn't comment too much about the players because that's not really my area. But I did one of the matches for Rafael Nadal, I think it's 2010 at the O2 Arena in London. And that will be the highlight of my life, because those were the 8 top players in the world. So seeing any player retiring, a great player retiring, and I've been on court with that player, for me, that's it gives me joy that, okay, they are retiring, but I've officiated for these guys. I've made sure that they have a fair shot at whatever they are doing because of officiating. So, I mean, it's always sad to see legends leave, whether in any aspects of life. So, there's not much I can say about it. Yeah.
Okay, and phenomenal. One word.
Well, to actually, I wish I could drop a tear with the phenomenal, because that guy has inspired fans, players alike, his career, the grit, the fight. If you could teach that, amazing.
Okay, now for those who are watching, before we go into a break, as you go into the next week for this tournament, is it open? You said it's Calabar Club. Is it open? Is it free? People can just walk in?
It's free. It's free. It starts at 9. Tomorrow we have matches. Our Ugandan participants should be on at 9 and not earlier than 10:30 for the next one. Matches go up to 4, 5. They should be, tomorrow we'll be starting the main draw for singles, which will end with the final on Sunday. There are also doubles happening, which will have a final on Saturday. So they're all welcome. The club is open for the duration of this tournament, and it's absolutely free.
Okay, wonderful. NTV Sport Nights takes a break. Do stay with us.